This is my R32 Skyline. I bought it for $10,000 and have spent much more painting it, replacing the engine, and getting it running for the first time.
Oh yeah!
Sounds like it's got comp.
Now I've had countless issues and setbacks. It's making some weird noises, but over the past 8 months, I've got it looking almost perfect. In the last video, I began building a fully forged RB25 DET with the help of my mate Tristan.
Need some of that Diddy lube.
We installed the crank and then the pistons. However, you guys spotted an issue while I was putting the motor together. That's why there's been a delay. Hopefully we can get this RB25 running, and then the R32 should be the ultimate street car.
Say the word, I'll be there to make it right. Anything in the world that can keep me tight. Say the word, I'll be there to make it right.
Now the reason why it's been so long since the last video is because we have been moving into a warehouse. Over the past couple of weeks, we've been moving some of the cars there, the tires in the backyard. Nathan's brought his tools and the warehouse is slowly filling up. It's been a dream goal of ours to share a warehouse with our mates, and we finally have that space that we can work on. But we won't be working on the R32 Skyline there just yet, and I'll explain why in a second. Now another reason for the R32 Skyline content delay is because of the RB25 Neo that we are building. Unfortunately, we were supplied the wrong parts, and I only found that out because of you guys, so thank you to some of you who commented down below. But we're gonna start working on this a little bit later in the video. We actually have some other parts for the R32, which is gonna make it look even better. So the reason why we're building the RB25 at home is because all my tools and engine parts are at home, and we are still slowly moving stuff in. We'll probably start working in the shop once we have all our tools there, but for now, enjoy the home content because it won't be long until we've moved out. So the R32 is looking fantastic, guys. Massive shout out to Royal Drip Works because this thing is looking sick. Anyway, we're not done making the body look fantastic because we still have some body part pieces to chuck on the R32. So on the older R32, you probably remember us putting these GTST type M pods on the back of the bumper, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing on this R32. So look at that. This looks sick. We also have a front grille finally. So this is going to complete our GTR front end. Yeah, it looks way better, yeah? It fills in the gap pretty good. So to fit these rear pods, what I did was put tape on the rear quarter so that we wouldn't scratch anything while constantly putting this pod on and off. We got to be very careful here because we just got a fresh paint job. I then started hand sanding everything, as this is the best way to do it, and luckily fiberglass is really easy to sand. The main goal was to get the rear pod somewhat close to the shape of the rear quarter. I wouldn't say I'm the best at body work, but doing this is going to save me a lot of money, and then I can send off everything to get painted after. So we're now done fitting the rear pod. It's looking pretty good. What I'm gonna do is I'm only gonna do one hole for the rear pod and have that slightly loose so that I could put some silicone behind this and press this all on once this is painted. Only because when I slowly tighten that bolt, everything sort of shifts. So if I have some silicone or sealant holding this all together, then when I tighten it down, it's gonna fit perfect. We've now finished sanding the other rear pod. Look at that. Body line is pretty perfect, guys. I just need some silicone to hold it all together, and then this one's good to go. Now, I forgot to mention something else that will be changing on the car. So these are the N1 pods that go at the front of the GTR bumper. These are actually genuine as well. You can see the little Nissan logo there. Now, these actually retail for about $800, even in this condition. So they're a little bit cracked. Get a shot of that.
Oh, yeah.
And that is the reason why I actually didn't use them, because they're cracked. Now, if you come over to the front, you can see I've actually taken the one that I bought out because it didn't really fit that nicely. These will fit a lot better, hopefully, and it'll be a flex because we'll have genuine GTR parts on the GTST. Don't breathe this in.
Good boy.
Oh, stinks.
Oh, all right, just sanding this down now.
What's going on?
I don't know. Sanding this down now, plastic welded it, and we're gonna get this ready for paint. We're just filling up the cracks now. Stinky! Now, I need to explain to you guys what happened with the RB25 that we built in the last video. The beautiful thing about having a YouTube channel and putting everything online is that people can look at your work and determine if you're making a mistake or not. And that's exactly what you guys did. While we're putting the RB25 engine together, a few of you guys noticed that the pistons that we chose, the Ross Performance pistons, were the incorrect pistons for this RB25 Neo. So here is a Neo piston. This is a piston that came out of the RB25 when I bought it. Now the annoying thing is I didn't actually order the Ross Performance pistons. The machine shop did that for me. I gave them my pistons, I gave them my engine, and they ordered me some billet pistons. They said these were the cheapest option, and that's why I installed them. Anyway, I told them that they had ordered the wrong pistons. They got back to me and they said, yes, it looks like we have. They told me to return the pistons, take them off the con rods and bring them back, and they'll order me a new set of pistons that will fit the RB25 Neo. So guys, here are our new pistons. We are going Carrillo pistons. The reason why I went with the Ross Performance pistons is they retailed for about $1,700, whereas these are $2,300. So unfortunately, we did have to spend a little bit more money, but the machine shop was really cool about it. They understood that they made a mistake. They just made me pay the difference on top, which is totally fair enough. So everything has been sorted with the machine shop and the mistake has been fixed. So here they are, CP pistons, baby. The pistons have been measured and numbered according to the different bore sizes. Now, there was no stock anywhere in Australia, so I actually had to wait like 3 or 4 weeks for these, so hence the delay. I believe I said that I would send out a t-shirt to the person who spotted the incorrect pistons, and I have lost your Instagram message, so please message me on Instagram again and I will send you out a t-shirt. Ooh! So it was time to start building the motor again for the second time with the new CP pistons. I started by cleaning everything and then assembling the pistons to the con rod. This was a painstaking process, which I showed in the last video, as the C-clips used to hold the gudgeon pin in are very difficult to install. We're now done connecting the con rods to the pistons. That was a pain in the ass because you have to put these little C-clips in. Assembling the pistons to the con rods absolutely sucks because it just ruins your thumbs. My thumb is like bruised, but everything's almost ready to go. We just need to start gapping the rings. I'm just doing some reading on the gaps that we need to make in order for the car to run correctly. You can see there's a few different options here: street, high performance, drag racing, nitrous. We obviously are going to go for street/high performance. So I've never personally gapped rings myself. I had Tristan help me in the last video. We're going to head to Tristan's place and grab some tools because I don't have a ring gap filer or a piston installer ring, whatever you want to call it. All right, so we are here with Turbo Tristan.
This is a Wiseco piston popper. It's tapered, so you just push the piston down once you put the rings on, and it just crushes it and pops it straight into the cylinder ball. So this is the piston ring filer.
You need to find friends with cars because then you don't have to buy every single tool and you can borrow them off your friends and never return them back.
It's a good boy.
Good boy. That's also, guys, if you want to come down to the meet on the 18th, we're hosting a meet. We're going to host that at Autobahn DFO Moorabbin. We've done a few meets there. You guys probably come to some of those, but if you want to say hello to me, Tristan, some of the guys, then yeah, come down, I guess. I'm trying to convince Tristan to bring down his race car.
EK1 base model Grandpa spec, but I stripped it all out, turned it into a race car. It's got a cage, it's got a K24.
I want to show you guys Tristan's work because Tristan actually does mechanical work. If you guys want work done, this is the guy. And we actually know this car. This is a friend of ours, his name's Kevin.
And these things come out with a carby engine, so they're slow as. We actually bought a Type R, pulled it apart, inserted everything here like a bit of a resto mod. So it's running a Haltech, of course, full exhaust, which I fabricated, and all custom billet mounts and everything.
If you want a Honda expert to work on your car, TT, Turbo Tristan, baby. We are now back from Tristan's. We have our piston installer 86.5mm Wiseco ring, and we also have a ring filer too, so we can start gapping the rings. So right here we have our piston rings. I've already gapped cylinders number 1 to 5, so I know how to do this pretty well now, or at least I think I do. Essentially, there are 4 rings in here. You've got the top ring. This ring right here is the compression ring. There's a little N on the top of there. You probably can't see that on the camera, but there's a little marking on there which tells you that that's the way up. Now the second ring is the darker colored ring. It's got like a scraper on the edge, and there's also a little bit of a marking there to tell you that's the correct way up. Yeah, let's just get to gapping them. So what we're doing is placing the ring into the bore, just like so. And then you get something that's the same diameter of the bores, like the piston, an inch down, I believe. Now, as you can see, there's a little bit of a gap in the ring, and that, according to our little sheet, needs to be 0.4 millimeters. So we've got our feeler gauge over here, and as you can see, it is a 0.4 mil feeler gauge. And basically, we need to keep grinding these down until we can fit that in the gap. But yeah, we definitely can't right now. That gap is way too small. So here's the special ring grinding tool, and all it does is take material off the piston rings. Now, it takes a little bit of time to get used to these because you got to know how much material it's taking off, but they're very simple and effective to use for a DIYer at home. Now, each piston ring has their own different tolerances. The first ring we want to gap to 0.4 millimeters. The second ring we want to gap to 0.55 millimeters. We made sure to gap all rings within specs. We had to do a few calculations, but after this we should be ready for some boost. So guys, we have now installed the rings onto the pistons. I currently haven't got them rotated to where they need to be. The piston ring gaps need to be on specific sides. If you have them both lined up here, the two gaps, then you'll cause bad compression. You could have blow by. So you gotta make sure that your rings are rotated correctly. I originally thought that the rings would just naturally rotate in the bore, but apparently that's not the case. Where the gap is where it stays, even though this thing's going up and down at like 7,000 to 9,000 RPM. So you gotta make sure that you rotate them correctly. After the rings were clocked correctly, meaning that the gaps were on opposing sides, it was time to install the pistons using that special tool. Oh!
That one actually just went straight in.
Yeah, that went straight in. Once the pistons were in, it was time to torque everything up to spec. I believe we went all the way to 45 foot-pounds. You gotta make sure that you tighten everything in spec when you're working on an engine. This was an extremely satisfying process. Now, because this time everything went smoothly, we were then able to install the head studs. We're running some ARP head studs and some ARP bolts. This will ensure that we get a good seal on the MLS head gasket that we are using. So we're just doing the final clean. We're just cleaning where the head gasket's gonna go before we chuck on the head for the first time. I'll quickly show you. We are gonna be running a Nitto standard compression 1.2 millimeter head gasket. So this is the standard size of a factory head gasket. And I'm using Nitto because I've done a bunch of research on them. This seems to be the go-to when it comes to high horsepower applications. However, the people that run these Nitto gaskets say that you definitely need to deck the block. That's exactly what we've done. We've decked the block, which should create a perfect seal for this Nitto head gasket.
Nitto.
We are not sponsored, by the way. No Nitto sponsor here. Pretty good head gasket. Chuck this bad boy on, straight from the box. Oh, does it fit? Damn. All right, we've got the head over here, wrapped from the machine shop. The nerve-wracking bit. The surface is all good. Oh, we'll give it a tiny bit of a clean, I reckon. Yep. Oh, that's it, I think. So we're just installing the ARP head studs now, and we're using some ARP lube on the washers before we put the bolts on the threads. Boop. We've had to wait many months to finally get to this stage because of our muck around, but we've got the pistons in there. Everything can rotate, as you can see. Now, I still need to install the cams. I still need to install the plugs, the timing belt, the cam gears, everything. Check this out. This is a new turbo manifold. This was sent over from Side Design Fab on Instagram. I'm gonna leave all of his links in the description down below, but he sent us out this top turbo mount manifold that is going to go onto the RB25. The welds are sick, the quality, the finish is awesome. He's even got his logo right there. A lot of people opt for 6-boost manifolds, but we decided to try something different because apparently these sound really, really good. We've also got a V-band on the top right there, and also a hole for an external wastegate, which we still need to purchase. But I've actually got some titanium bolts right here. So let's chuck these on. See how this fits. Woo-hoo-hoo. That looks sick. Again, massive shout out to Side Design Fab. Killed it on the manifold. This looks awesome. Holy crap. It's aggressive. The turbo is going to sit really close to the valve cover here. In this box, we have a G30 770 supplied from PJZ Customs. You guys know PJ. Everyone knows PJ, especially if you're a JZX guy. Here it is, baby. The big snail. So this turbo as well has a T51R mod on there. That's why it's got that interesting inlet. So this thing's gonna sound insane. It's also V-banded as well. Hopefully it's the same V-band. Holy crap. We still need to clock the front housing there, but Jesus, man, this looks crazy. Look at that, Jesus. So with everything test fitted and looking absolutely diabolical, I went ahead and started installing the cams. We have the buckets and everything all laid out on the shelf over here, all in order. We began by dropping in the buckets, which just go over the valve springs. Again, a very satisfying but very timely process. You gotta make sure that everything's nice and clean and lubricated. I then dropped in the cams and made sure to tighten them while everything was in top dead center. So we have now fully installed the cams. It is looking so good, guys. We just had to be careful to make sure everything was at top dead center. And usually how you tell on these RBs is these little crank spots right there where the half moons go into, stick right up at the top. And then these little notches on the cam gears are at the right side and at the left side. Also, you can tell that it's at top dead center because you have access to the head studs. That's the one cool thing about RBs. You can actually take the head off without removing the cams. Right there, and we can get access to all the head bolts if we need to. Now, the next thing that we're gonna do is install the water pump. We have ourselves an OEM genuine Nissan pump for an RB25. Let's try and get this out with one hand. Bit of an interesting shape, but yeah, this is what flows the water around your engine, and that just goes on like that and is sealed on with silicone. This is what I meant when I said I've got so many boxes of parts just laying around for this build. And we also have this RB25 Neo intake manifold, eBay spec, baby, that we'll be chucking onto the RB. Now, we're probably not ready to chuck this on yet, but because I want to get some inspiration, some motivation, I'm going to chuck this on to see how it looks. This is a forward-facing intake plenum, so it should look pretty hectic. We've already got the titanium hardware installed. Let's chuck this intake manifold on. Oh, perfect. Put a nut on there for security. Oh wow, I can't wait to chuck the valve covers on. We still need to paint them as well. But man, this thing is looking absolutely insane. There's still hours of work that needs to go into this thing. Jesus, guys, look at this. We also installed the new water pump as well. That's all installed with some silicone, sealing it all up. We haven't torqued the bolts down yet because I don't know where my torque wrench is. Bro, it's looking so fresh. Jesus. Anyway, guys, if you want to see this car come down to the Autobahn meet at DFO Moorabbin on the 18th, so I believe that's tomorrow by the time this video has been uploaded. This car is going to be there. The engine will unfortunately not be there, but we'll bring in the Chaser, the Skyline, and potentially the AU Falcon. So more Skyline content coming very, very soon. I will see you all in the next one. Catch ya.